CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I've noticed that these kinds of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might even make the experience a little creepier. So, tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? The dark web dating profile I found belonged to a woman missing since 1998. I wasn't looking for trouble. It's not like I'm the kind of guy who goes digging around for creepy stuff online just for kicks. I'm not a hacker. I'm not one of those conspiracy nuts. I was just bored. It was one of those dead nights, the kind where you can hear your fridge hum and every notification on your phone feels like a lifeline. I'd just finished a shift running DoorDash orders and my dinner was cold, McNuggets I'd grabbed on the way home. I was half watching YouTube, half scrolling through TikTok, and I stumbled on this guy talking about the iceberg of the dark web. He was listing off creepy sites and urban legends, most of them I'd heard before. Red rooms, human experiments, the usual stuff people throw around to get clicks. But one thing he mentioned caught me. Ghost profiles. According to him, there are dating sites buried so deep you can't reach them without knowing the exact address. And some of the profiles are of people who aren't alive anymore. Now, I should have just kept scrolling, but I still had Tor installed from college. Back then, my friends and I thought we were badasses for browsing onion sites and looking at shady markets, but it was mostly just scams and ugly layouts. So, I opened it up, expecting more of the same, and for a while, that's all it is. Dead forums, broken links, sites that look like they were coded in 1998 and never touched again. But then I click on a link called Connections. No intro, no sign-up page. Just a black screen with a bunch of square profile cards, each with a photo and a name. No ads, no menus. It looked clean, too clean. Most of the profiles I click on are obviously fake. Random stock images, bios that read like they were written by bots. Then I see her. Her name just says Marissa. No last name. The photo is grainy, but not in a low-quality upload way. It's the kind of grain you get from scanning an old photograph. She's smiling, but her eyes look tired, like the smile was for someone else's benefit. The background is just a white wall with a small shadow, probably from a lamp. Her bio is short. Age, 27. Hobbies, hiking, reading, exploring coffee shops. Last active, 8,514 days ago. That number messes with me for a second. I pull up the calculator on my phone. That's just over 23 years. But here's what really made my stomach drop. At the bottom of her profile, it says, status, available, location, 1.2 miles away. I actually laughed at first. I mean, the site's clearly ancient. No way it's tracking anything in real time. But still, that's close. Like, really close. My apartment's in a quiet area. Closest things to me are a Starbucks, a laundromat, and a McDonald's down the street. Curiosity got the better of me. I took a screenshot of her photo and ran it through Google Lens. First result, a Chicago Tribune article from August 1999. Headline, Young woman vanishes after leaving apartment. Her name was Marissa Caldwell. Same photo, same smile. She left her apartment one evening to meet a friend for coffee and never came back. No suspects, no body, nothing. I'm staring at my laptop and suddenly the little location text on her profile has a pulsing dot next to it. I click it. It opens a map. Not Google Maps, but something stripped down and almost too simple. It's already zoomed into my town. Then, my street. Then it stops. Right at the McDonald's I'd passed maybe 10 minutes earlier on my way home. I'm frozen, just staring at it. And then the icon starts moving, slowly, up the road, toward my building. My first thought is, this is fake. This is some RRG crap. But then I realize my heart is pounding way too hard for me to believe that. I slam my laptop shut. I try to shake it off. I put on some random Twitch stream for background noise and scroll through Instagram like nothing happened. But about 15 minutes later, I hear something outside. Not loud, just a crunching sound. Slow, like someone walking on gravel. My driveway has that loose gravel patch right before it hits the sidewalk, so I know exactly what it sounds like. I get up, pull the blinds just enough to peek out. The street looks empty. No one's walking. But then I notice, under the streetlight, maybe 30 feet from my door, there's a dark-colored sedan idling. It's angled toward my building, engine running. The driver's side door is hanging open. I stand there, holding my breath. The car doesn't move. No one gets out. I back away from the window like I'm afraid it can see me. A minute later, I check again. The car's gone. When I sit back down, my laptop screen's still lit up, even though I shut it earlier, and the connection site is still open. Only now, Marissa's profile says, status, available, location, 0.0 miles away. Edit. I didn't expect this post to blow up. I'll update with part 2 tomorrow. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell happened that night, and if anyone has heard of a dating site on the dark web called Connections, please tell me I'm not the only one who's seen it. The number on Marissa's profile sits there like it's smirking. Location 0.0 miles away. My cursor shakes because my hand's shaking. The site has no back button, no messages, no FAQ, just that photo of her, smiling like she knows something I don't. I shut the laptop for real, power it down, pull the cord. I even flip it over like proximity can't get me if the screen faces the table. I'm not dramatic by nature, but I've got that feeling you get after almost getting hit crossing a street, like all your organs are lagging a second behind your body and catching up slow. I double-check the front door, chain on, deadbolt turned. I live alone in a one-bedroom with thin walls. The neighbor across the hall plays NBA 2K late and has arguments that end with, "Bro, I'm cool, chill, I'm cool." Tonight, dead quiet. My phone buzzes. I jump. It's an Apple notification I've never seen before in real life, just in TikToks. AirTag found moving with you. I don't own an AirTag. I tap, learn more, and it says the AirTag has been near me for several hours. It gives me the option to play a sound. I press it, and somewhere close, way too close, something chirps. Not loud, not the crisp tone they play in Apple ads, more like a tired little beep from under a couch cushion. I kill the sound and stand perfectly still. Then I do something that'll sound dumb, but I swear it made sense in the moment. I start talking out loud to myself, so whoever might be listening hears confidence. "It's fine," I say, like I'm on a call. "Yeah, I'm about to head to Starbucks. Meet me there in 10. Cool. I open and close a drawer. Keys jingle. Performance for an audience I hope doesn't exist. The beep came from the entryway, near my shoes. I crouch. There's a new scuff on the bottom shelf, by the door, like something slid against it. I take out the shoe I wore to work. Black Vans, grease on the sides, and squeeze the tongue. Something hard is taped under the insole. I peel it up, and there it is. A white disc, not a brand name one. Off-brand, but my phone calls it an AirTag. Stuck to it is a scrap of something that shouldn't smell how it smells. Old, sharp, and sweet, like rotten oranges and metal. I lean in. My stomach flips. It's hair, not a clump. One curl, brittle, the color of a tea stain. I put it down like it burns. I want to throw it in the trash, but that feels like I'm playing into a plan I don't understand. I grab a Ziploc and slide it inside. Then I take a picture and send it to my friend Luis, with no context. He types, then, bro, then calls me. I let it ring. Another notification. That stupid site isn't open and my laptop's off, but my phone pings with a web push I didn't sign up for. Connections. This user can be messaged. No app, no icon, just that text. I should factory reset my life. Instead, I step into the hallway. It's colder. The light near the stairs is flickering like a cliché, and I want to laugh because this feels scripted. A door downstairs opens, and they hear the building cough. A vent clicking on, metal contracting. I start to lift my phone to call 911 and stop because what do I say? Hi, yeah. A missing woman's dating profile knows where I live, and someone tagged me like I'm a suitcase. I check the peephole. The corridor's empty. I breathe, then crack the door and lean out. There's a manila envelope against the threshold that wasn't there before. Sharpie on the front. Return to sender. No address. No stamp. I take it inside because I'm stupid and because I can't not. Inside are photos. Glossy 4x6 prints. Each one is of the back of my head. Some are me at the laundromat across from the Starbucks, back in January, wearing the red hoodie I lost in March. One is me at the DMV. One is me standing in line at a Walgreens at midnight, buying cold medicine. Who takes pictures in a Walgreens line without anyone noticing? I flip through faster. Then I feel the paper differently and realize the last two are Polaroids. The kind from the 90s. The kind you shake even though you're not supposed to. The first is my front door from the hallway side, and I can see, in the distorted flash bounce, the numbers on my door shimmering like they're wet. The second is my bedroom window from outside. The glass looks like a dark pond, and my silhouette's in it, sitting on my bed, head bent over a laptop. There's a date scribbled on both with a thin tip pen, not a right now date. August 14th, 1999. I stare until the ink looks like it's moving. I flip them over like that'll help. On the back of the door photo, tiny letters say, "You left the chain off at 2:11 a.m. and fell back asleep. Thank you." My phone dings again, this time Instagram. A new message request from a nothing account with no profile pic, no posts. Hey. Then, you still up? Then 3 pictures. I put the phone face down and say out loud, to no one and everyone, do not send me anything else. I pick the phone back up slowly. The pictures are my street, taken from eye level across from my building. The open doors car is back, but now it's parked one space closer to the entrance, and there's a McDonald's bag on the passenger seat. mouth open like someone got out in a rush. The last image is my own window. My blinds are down. In the corner of the photo, the shooter's hand reflects in the glass. It's a woman's hand, or a man with small hands. There are scars on the knuckles like someone who bites too hard. The DM bubble says, typing, and doesn't stop for a full minute. Then, you used to come here for apple pies, 2 for $1. I don't type back. I feel like typing back makes it real in a way I can't take back. I instead open the camera on my phone and snap my door, my feet, my unwashed coffee mug. Proof that it's my life. Outside, a car door shuts, patient. Another opens. The click is dainty like a toy. If there's one good decision I make, it's grabbing my keys in a fist and going downstairs. Not because I'm brave, but because my fight or flight is stuck on walk. There's a dead zone in the stairwell where my phone always loses LTE. As I hit it, my lock screen changes. Not a wallpaper, like an overlay. It's a sheen of static, and under it, faint text. Follow routes, do not stop. Then GPS arrow appears from nowhere, pointing out the back exit instead of the front. There is no back exit on the map of my building on Zillow, but I know the old laundry room door has a rusted push bar you can shoulder open if you're desperate. I am, it gives, groaning. The alley back here smells like wet cardboard and old grease. Trash lids are cracked open like someone looked and didn't care enough to close them. At the end of the alley, across the side street, the Starbucks green apron silhouettes move behind glass. Comforting, normal, human. I get to the corner. Cars roll by, moody eyes in the dark. I see the McDonald's. Then I see it. At the outdoor table, under the heat lamp, someone has laid out a neat row of napkins like placemats, and on each napkin is a Polaroid. 8 of them, all face down, because the universe loves drama. I don't want to cross. I do anyway, because I can't walk backwards through my life. The grill pops from inside. 2 teens in headsets argue about sources. I flip the first Polaroid. It's a woman in a denim jacket, mid-laugh, caught mid-turn. You can tell it's not staged, because her hair is out of place. She's on a bridge I recognize, the Chicago River, near the old Tribune Tower. The back reads, "Before coffee." The next is her seated in a booth with a brown paper cup, biting her straw wrapper. After. The third is her, in a stairwell that looks drained of color. Down. The fourth is her in a hallway, with those awful 90s apartment building carpets. Left. Then right. Then her hand on a silver chain locking a door. Then her face, very close to the camera, not smiling. Eyes haunted with the recognition you get when you're being looked at too long by someone who knows your name. On the last Polaroid, she isn't in frame at all. It's my apartment number, clean, no scratches, like new. The back says, "Thanks for keeping it warm." I can make my fingers work. A guy behind me drops a tray, and the crash shoots through me like a taser. He mutters sorry, mop already in his hand. I'm expecting the car with the open door to peel up, someone to lean out and call my name. Nothing. The ordinary world keeps moving, which somehow makes me sick. My phone buzzes, buzzing over buzzing, like it's trying to break through. The no-name Instagram account sends a pin, same McDonald's. Then a series of messages. "You're late. You always are. She hates cold food." I finally type, "Who are you?" My thumb hovers. Then, "What do you want?" The response is instantaneous. "To finish the date." I stop breathing for a second. The barista calls someone's name that's not mine. I look through the glass. The drive-through worker is doing that smile that's just cheeks, no eyes. I look to the right, at the far table near the door. She's there. Not a ghost, not transparent. A woman, early 20s, denim jacket, brown hair in a soft 90s cut, a light blue scrunchie on her wrist, like a misplaced friendship. The first thing that hits me is the clothes. Not vintage, not thrifted. A different texture of cotton, different seams. The second thing is her stillness. People in public are never motionless. Even waiting, there's phone checking, bag fussing, hair tucking. She is statue still. Hands flat on the table, palms down, a paper cup in front of her that's fresh and sweating. She lifts her head like she heard me think. Eye contact lands like cold water thrown straight in my face. I don't go in. She doesn't wave. My phone buzzes again. She doesn't like to meet inside anymore. I look around. Nobody else is looking at me. The ordinary world is a camouflage net thrown over a foxhole. I type. What happened to you? She looks past me, over my shoulder, at nothing. We don't type in there, the account replies. Come home. I walk back because the only other option is to sit down with her and freeze to death in my own skin. The alley feels narrower now, like it breathed in while I was gone. Behind the building, the laundry room door sways, dirty light spilling out. My phone maps me again, without an app. White arrow, green line. Up the back stairs. Don't look left. Don't look right. Don't look at the door to 2B that has a gouge I've never seen. Don't look. My door is closed. Chain on. Deadbolt turned. The manila envelope is back on the floor as if I never touched it. But when I pick it up, it's heavier. There's a phone inside. Not a smartphone. A tiny silver flip phone from 20 years ago with a stubby antenna and a little external screen that shows one pixelated word. Ringing. It is not ringing. I flip it open. I don't know if my fingerprints can learn new alphabet, but mine are writing a whole story across this plastic. The time on the display says 2:11 a.m. It's not 2:11 a.m. I put it to my ear, and there's no dial tone, just tape hiss. Then my own voice says, soft, like I'm in church, open the door. My legs want to run, but there's nowhere to go. The voice on the phone, my voice, sucks in breath and whispers, don't look at her eyes. They look like yours when you're finishing a yawn. There's a knock. Gentle, 3 in a row, like someone who knows me. I whisper, who is it? Which is stupid because I already know I don't want an answer. My phone vibrates. Don't ask, the account says. When you ask, you admit you're home. The knock again, same rhythm. Then that tired little AirTag beep from inside my apartment, even though the ziplock is sealed, and the laptop I unplugged sighs and boots itself, and the connection site blinks on without a cable, without anything. Maritza's profile fills the screen like she's stepping close. The location tag is gone. The last active line is gone. Now it just says, status, seated, outside your door. In the bottom right corner, a chat window blossoms, white and waiting. A single line types itself. Are you ready to be a better host? The knock becomes a scratching, patient as a cat. My chain creaks like it's being breathed on. The flip phone in my hand coughs out one more sentence of my own voice. Don't open, then dies. I put my forehead against the door, the cheap wood warm from my own fear, and listen. On the other side, a soft sound, not breathing, Someone quietly repeating a name to themselves to practice how it sounds. Mine. I touch the chain. I don't lift it. I just touch it to feel something that's supposed to keep things out. From the hallway, in that calm 90s answering machine tone that sits right in the center of your ear, a woman says, "I'm late. Are you still up?" I don't move. And something on the other side of the door smiles. Edit. I found the AirTag serial scratched lightly into the plastic with a pin. It's letters and numbers like a VIN. When I typed it into Google, it auto-completed to a forum thread I can't access without Tor, and I'm not going back on that. Also, a neighbor's Ring camera across the street just sent me a clip. At 12:07 a.m. tonight, my door opened by itself and then closed. I wasn't in it. My landlord says the building has no back exit. I'm staring at the laundry room door right now. I don't remember falling asleep. I only remember opening my eyes and realizing my head was against the floor, cheek pressed into the carpet, like I'd slid down the wall next to the door sometime in the night. The chain was still on. The deadbolt was still turned. My neck hurt in a way that made me wonder if I'd been sitting like that for hours or if someone had held me there. The envelope was gone. So was the flip phone. For a few seconds, I convinced myself I must have dreamed it all. No phone, no AirTag, no knocking. The only sound was the refrigerator's low hum. Then I looked at my laptop. It was still closed, but there was light bleeding out from the hinge. I pulled it open, expecting the connection site. Instead, the screen was split into 4 live camera feeds. Top left was my building stairwell, empty. Top right was the street outside, just parked cars, nothing moving. Bottom left was my bedroom, from the corner near the closet. I was in frame, curled up next to the door where I'd woken up. Bottom right was a room I didn't recognize. Bare walls, 1 plastic folding chair in the middle, and taped to the chair's backrest, that same grainy 90s photo of Marissa. A red timestamp in the corner read 4:11:37. The numbers ticked up like it was live. I shut the laptop so fast, I heard the hinge click. I grabbed my phone and hit record, panning over the room, the door, the empty hall. Proof. Something I could send the cops if I worked up the nerve. When I checked the video, the feed on the laptop wasn't there. In the footage, my laptop was dark, screen closed, no cameras. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, no caller ID. I didn't pick up, but the voicemail transcribed automatically. 7 seconds. Silence. "You locked the chain." Female voice, flat, close to the mic. I threw on clothes and left. I didn't even lock the door behind me. I figured the Starbucks was safe. Bright lights, noise, people. It was barely sunrise, and the place smelled like burnt espresso and whatever syrup they pump into the seasonal specials. I ordered a black coffee, sat near the window, and stared at the condensation on the glass until my heart rate stopped being a drumline. A woman at the next table was scrolling on her phone. Mid-40s, business casual, no makeup, messy bun. Normal. Safe. She leaned over slightly, glanced at my laptop bag on the chair beside me, and said, "You should zip that up. People will take things right out without you noticing." I nodded. "Yeah, thanks." She smiled, just enough to be polite, and went back to scrolling. But something about the way she held her phone caught my eye. It was pointed at me, camera app open. She wasn't scrolling at all. I stood up so fast, my coffee sloshed over the rim. She didn't move. Didn't look embarrassed or surprised. Just tapped the screen once, locked the phone, and said, "You're early." I left without picking up my drink. Halfway home, my phone buzzed with a message from a random number. Just a photo. Blurry, taken from behind me as I left Starbucks. The timestamp in the corner was August 14th, 1999, 7:12 a.m. I froze on the sidewalk. My brain tried to make sense of it. Old camera filter, date glitch, but the shadows in the picture matched the ones around me exactly. I ducked into a Walgreens. I figured, more cameras, more people. I grabbed a pack of AA batteries I didn't need just so I'd have a reason to be in there. The cashier was a young guy, couldn't have been older than 19. He scanned the batteries, bagged them, then slid something else into the bag without scanning it. I looked. Another manila envelope. When I met his eyes, he said, "She said you'd know what to do." I pulled the envelope out and left it on the counter. "I don't want this." He shrugged. "Doesn't matter. It's yours." I didn't open it until I was back in my apartment. The contents weren't photos this time. They were printouts, pages from what looked like an old online chat log. The usernames were all generic. Coffee Girl 27, Sunday Drive, Marvin 88. The messages were dated July and August of 1999. Most of it was normal early internet flirting, but one user, Coffee Girl 27, kept dropping little lines that made my skin crawl. Coffee Girl 27. He leaves the chain on some nights, but not all. He sleeps in shirts with holes near the left shoulder. Sunday Drive. You've been inside? Coffee Girl 27. Not yet. Another log, dated the night before she vanished. Coffee Girl 27. Going in now. Coffee Girl 27. Chain was on. He woke up and asked who it was. Sunday Drive. What did you say? Coffee Girl 27. Nothing. I smiled. At the bottom of the stack was a single line, not part of the logs, handwritten in blue ink. Your turn. That night, I put a chair under the doorknob and sat awake until my vision swam. At 3:23 a.m., the flip phone was back, just sitting in the middle of my living room rug, like it had been there all along. No message this time, no ringing. Just open, screen lit, camera facing the ceiling. I bent down and picked it up. The moment my thumb touched the keypad, a new image appeared on the screen. A still photo, low resolution, like it was taken years ago. It was my living room. Same rug, same coffee table. But there were two chairs against the wall instead of one. And in the left chair sat a man with his head tilted so far back I couldn't see his face. The right chair was empty. Text crawled across the bottom. Sit. I didn't. I threw the phone across the room. It slid under the couch. That's when the scratching started again. Same rhythm as the knocking the night before, but sharper, like nails instead of knuckles. It moved, scratching across the floor from the door, past the kitchen, toward the couch. I ran to the bedroom, slammed the door, and shoved my dresser in front of it. My phone buzzed from the floor beside the bed. It was a push notification. No app name. Connections. Both guests are waiting. The sound stopped. Silence so deep my ears rang. Then, under the door, a shadow. Thin ankles in old sneakers. A denim hem brushing the tops. And a voice, not a whisper this time, but right against the crack. Your chain's not on. Edit. I moved the dresser. The door was locked from the outside. The dresser wasn't just heavy. It was wrong, like it had absorbed something while I was asleep. My hand slid over the wood, and it felt warm, almost damp, like someone had been leaning against it from the other side of the door. When I pulled it back, the lock on my bedroom door wasn't my lock anymore. The knob was gone, just a smooth, round plate with no keyhole, no screws. My own door, but altered in the way nightmares alter things, subtly enough to make you question whether it was ever normal in the first place. I pressed my ear to it. Silence. Then a noise, faint but unmistakable, the tiny plastic creak of a flip phone opening. I stepped back. My couch in the living room scraped across the floor by itself, a slow drag, like something under it was pushing. That's when the smell hit. Warm copper, old paper, and the faint sting of burned coffee grounds. I hadn't brewed anything. I picked up my own phone and unlocked it without thinking. My background image was gone. In its place was a live feed of my own face, from above, like there was a camera in the ceiling. My expression on screen was wrong, too still. My eyes didn't blink in sync with the real ones in my head. Then the feed zoomed out. I saw myself in the bedroom, the dresser behind me, and the door. Opening, I spun around. It was still closed. In the feed, a hand slid through the gap, pale, thin, with those small crescent scars on the knuckles. It held a Polaroid by the corner, letting it dangle in the air before dropping it onto the carpet in front of my feet. I looked down. The carpet in my real room was empty. On screen, the Polaroid showed me sleeping, not curled on the floor this time, but in my bed, facing the wall. Behind me, in the photo, someone else was lying on top of the covers, their face buried in my hair, like they were smelling it. I swiped the feed. My phone locked itself. From the living room came a single knock, knuckle on wood, deliberate, then a long pause, then again. The rhythm matched the one I'd heard 2 nights ago, the one that had started all of this. The knock repeated a 3rd time, but this time it came from inside the bedroom. I pressed my back against the wall, staring at the door. The knock shifted to a slow scrape down the length of the wood, like a nail drawing a straight line from top to bottom. Then a whisper, not right at the door, but close enough to rattle inside my chest. "It's unlocked." The knobless plate clicked. The door stayed shut. I reached under my bed for the baseball bat I keep there. My fingers touched something soft instead. Fabric. I pulled it out. It was a denim jacket, damp, smelling like rain and hairspray gone sour. The sleeves were warm. The inside pocket held another AirTag, but this one wasn't white. It was painted black, with the serial carved so deep the letters curled up at the edges. My phone lit up on its own. AirTag detected. Following you. Since August 14th, 1999. My stomach dropped. That date again. The day she went missing. The bat was gone when I checked again. In its place, neatly laid parallel to the bed frame, was the manila envelope. I didn't want to touch it, but my body moved anyway. Inside were VHS tapes. 5 of them, all unmarked except for dates. The oldest was July 30th, 1999. The newest was today's date. No player, no way to watch them. But in the bottom of the envelope, there was a slip of paper. On it, in blue pen, one sentence. "The first time you see yourself on tape, you never stop." I dropped it back into the envelope and shoved it under the bed. That night, I didn't try to sleep. I sat in the hallway outside my apartment door, back against the wall, staring down the corridor. Around 2:40 a.m., The light at the far end flickered. A shadow appeared under it. Someone tall, standing still, just out of range of detail. They didn't move closer. Instead, something small rolled toward me. It stopped a few feet away. A McDonald's apple pie box, crushed flat. The grease had soaked into the cardboard in two perfect oval patches, like it had been held in the same hand for a long time. Then the shadow stepped forward, and forward again. My brain fought to fill in the face, but the hallway seemed to eat the features. By the time they were close enough to touch, I realized the head was tilted too far back, chin up toward the ceiling, mouth open. They didn't speak. They just reached into their jacket pocket and pulled out a Polaroid, holding it out to me. I didn't take it, so they let it drop. It landed face up. It was me, sitting in this exact hallway, holding a Polaroid of myself. The shadow stepped past me, without brushing my shoulder, without sound. I turned to follow. Nothing. The corridor behind me was empty, but when I looked down again, the apple pie box was gone. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A push notification from Connections. Status. Both seated. Final course arriving. I went back inside. Every surface in my kitchen was covered in photographs. Hundreds. Overlapping. All of me. Sleeping, walking, eating, laughing. Some so old I was still a teenager in them. Some from days I couldn't remember living. The newest one was in the middle of the table. Me, sitting at my kitchen table, looking down at that exact photograph. I picked it up, on the back, in a neat, careful hand. She'll be here at 2:11. Keep the chain off this time. The clock read 2:09. Edit. The chain is off. 2:10. I can hear the clock in my kitchen ticking, but it's not in sync anymore. It's faster, like it's hurrying me along. Every breath I take feels too loud. My apartment smells faintly of wet dirt and something sweet sick, like fruit that's been left in a hot car. I'm standing by the door. The chain is off. My hand's on the deadbolt. I don't know if I'm keeping it closed or waiting to open it. 2:11. 3 soft knocks. Same rhythm as before. The ones that don't demand, they invite. I press my forehead to the door. The wood feels warm, almost pulsing, like someone's leaning against it on the other side. A voice, low, feminine, careful, says my name. Not a question, a statement, like she's known it longer than I have. When I don't answer, she says it again, slower this time. Then, I've been patient. The air feels thicker. My apartment isn't quiet anymore. There's movement in the kitchen, light shuffling, something brushing across the counter. I turn my head without meaning to, and I see it. The photographs covering my counters are flipping themselves over, one by one. Each time a photo flips, the back shows a word in black marker. When I piece them together in my head, they form a sentence. You already let me in. My hand jerks off the lock. I stumble back, nearly trip over my chair. Something shifts in the corner of the room. A figure, thin, straight-backed, steps into the doorway between the kitchen and living room. Denim jacket, dark hair, head tilted slightly, like she's listening for something I haven't said yet. I blink. She's gone. A noise behind me. The click of the deadbolt sliding open. My stomach turns cold. I spin, but the door is still closed, still locked. My eyes catch on the peephole. Someone is on the other side, covering it with their eye. I can't see their face, but I see the slow flecks of skin as they smile. The deadbolt turns again, slow, deliberate, and the door swings open just enough for the hallway's cold air to creep in. She's standing there. Marissa. Or something wearing her. The photo from 1999 come to life, but wrong. The colors are too sharp, her skin too smooth, and her smile too still. Her hands are at her sides, but her fingers twitch in small, insect-like movements, each one bending separately. She steps in without asking. No hesitation. The hallway light behind her dims, like it's moving away. She walks past me, the smell of damp denim and old perfume trailing in her wake. Her head turns, eyes scanning my walls like she's inspecting a place she's been before. When she reaches the kitchen, she stops and looks at the photographs. The corners of her mouth lift, not into a smile, but into something that shows too many teeth for it to be casual. Then she turns to me. "You've been a good host," she says. The voice is soft, but has an undercurrent of glee. Not joy. Glee, the way someone might sound if they've been waiting to unwrap a gift they know is alive inside the box. I can't move. She steps closer. I realize she's holding something in her left hand. A small silver flip phone, the same model as the one that kept appearing. It's open, and I hear faint static leaking out. She lifts it to her ear, pauses, then says, "He's ready." From behind me, my laptop chimes. Once, twice, then again. I don't need to look to know the connection site is open. I can feel it, like a draft against my back. Her smile widens just a fraction. "It's your turn," she says, and holds out the phone. I don't take it. Her eyes drop to my hands, then to the floor. Slowly, she crouches, placing the phone down between us. She doesn't break eye contact the whole time, like she's daring me not to pick it up. The static from the phone sharpens into a voice. My voice, whispering, saying things I don't remember ever saying. "Don't run. Don't scream. Just sit. Sit still." Behind her, the light in the kitchen flickers. And then, there's someone else standing there. A tall man, head tilted back, mouth open. Same figure I saw in the hallway days ago. He's holding a McDonald's paper bag in one hand, and in the other, a Polaroid camera. He raises it. The flash goes off. The light burns into my vision. When it clears, they're both closer. Too close. The man is beside me now, smelling faintly of fryer grease and cold air. Marissa is in front of me, close enough that I can see a faint, stitched scar just under her jawline. She leans in, whispers something into my ear. I can't write the words, because even now, thinking them makes my hands shake. All I know is they weren't instructions. They were a description of me. The camera clicks again. Another flash. My vision goes white. When it fades, I'm sitting in the folding chair from the feed I saw earlier. The bare-walled room. The photo of Marissa taped to the backrest in front of me. There's no door here. No windows. Just the sound of the flip phone ringing. Somewhere behind me. It stops. Then the connection site appears in my head, not on a screen, but like it's projected on the inside of my eyelids. New profile. Created name. My name. Age. 29 hobbies. Walking at night. Leaving doors unlocked. Waiting. Last active. 0 days ago. Status. Available. Location. 1.2 miles away. I blink, and I'm looking at the back of someone's head. Their hair is short, messy, a little gray at the temples. They're sitting at a kitchen table, scrolling their phone, completely unaware. The camera in my hand is heavier than it should be. My fingers twitch against the shutter. The first photo always comes out perfect. Final edit. If you ever see connections on Tor, don't click on any profile with no last name. And if you do, and the location says 0.0 miles away, lock your door. Keep the chain on. Don't open it, no matter what you hear. I discovered a dark web bounty on myself, and the price just went up. I'm not a dark web kind of guy. No VPN subscriptions, no weird forums, no mystery boxes from the deep web unboxings. I'm boring. My idea of a wild Friday night is watching YouTube and eating leftover Taco Bell in bed. So if you're thinking, oh, he must have been asking for trouble, I swear I wasn't. It started 3 nights ago. I'm in this small Discord server for a game called Urban Factions Online, a crusty old MMO that peaked in 2011, and now maybe 15 of us log in to play each week. We mostly post memes, mod updates, and complain about how Fortnite kids have no idea what real gaming was like. That night, it was dead quiet. I was just scrolling Instagram on my phone while a podcast played in the background. Out of nowhere, this new account joins. No profile picture, no intro, nothing. Just a username, Lithium Node 47. They posted one message in the general chat. This is for you. Don't share it. And then a link. It wasn't a normal link. No .com or .net. It was one of those long, random strings of letters ending in .onion. I knew enough to recognize that meant it was a dark web address. I should have closed Discord right then, but curiosity is a disease, and mine's terminal. I installed the Tor browser. The link loaded slower than my grandma's old Windows XP laptop. Black background, red text, a blocky header that said, Live Contracts, Eastern Seaboard. It looked like a Craigslist listing written by a serial killer. A column of names, locations, and payouts. My eyes scanned the page lazily until I saw it. Name, my full legal name. City, my exact city and state contract. Status, active payout, $9,000. At first, I thought it was a prank. But then my brain caught up to my eyes. The spelling was exact, right down to my middle name. Next to my name was a blinking red icon. I clicked it. The page that opened felt like a punch to the gut. It had my work schedule, my actual work schedule, screenshots of my Instagram, and a picture of me taken last Thursday night at a Starbucks near my apartment. I hadn't posted that on any public account. I'd put it on my Instagram story for like 10 friends. It wasn't even a selfie. It was me in line, holding my phone. The angle was wrong, low, tilted, like someone took it from a corner table when I wasn't looking. The worst part, my AirPods were in, and I was laughing at something on TikTok. Totally oblivious. I slammed my laptop shut so hard, my cat bolted off the bed. I didn't touch my phone. I didn't even breathe right. I just sat there in the dark, replaying the scene in my head, trying to remember anyone sitting alone in that Starbucks. At 12:14 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One photo. The same Starbucks picture, but zoomed in, right on my face. In the reflection of the glass door behind me, there's a tall figure in a dark hoodie, standing perfectly still. I don't remember seeing them. I barely slept. I kept the lights on and my blinds shut. When the sun came up, I convinced myself it was just some elaborate catfish scam. I went to work, still jittery, and buried myself in password resets and printer jams. Around 3 p.m., I cracked. I pulled up Tor on my work laptop. Dumb, I know. The page was still there. My name still there. Except now, the bounty wasn't $9,000 anymore. Payout, $12,500. I closed it immediately. Went to the break room to get some air. That's when I noticed a man I'd never seen before, standing across the street from our building. He wasn't on his phone, wasn't smoking, wasn't even moving, just staring up at the windows. I told myself I was being paranoid until I saw what he was wearing. A black hoodie. Edit. I got home an hour ago. There's an envelope under my door. No return address. Inside was a single Polaroid. Me, sitting at my desk at work today. I don't know how they got inside. I didn't call the cops. It's not because I'm brave. It's because I knew exactly what would happen. They'd smile, take down a statement, and file it under paranoid young adult with an overactive imagination. That night, I stayed up late. Lights off, curtains drawn, laptop closed. Just sat on my bed with a baseball bat in my hands and the TV muted. My phone was on airplane mode. Around 2:40 a.m., I heard something outside. Not footsteps, not a car, more like the sound of breathing through a mask. Slow, wet. My apartment has this narrow alley beside it, only big enough for trash bins and the occasional maintenance guy. Nobody should be back there at night. I crept to the window and lifted the blinds just a hair. Someone was standing in the alley, not pacing, not moving, just facing my building. Their head tilted slightly up toward my window. The streetlight caught on the edge of what I think was a clear plastic rain poncho. Their hands were in their pockets. I stayed frozen for what felt like an hour, but was probably 30 seconds, until they stepped backward into the shadows and disappeared. The next morning, I found an AirTag in my mailbox. No note, no packaging, just the tracker, cold in my palm. I threw it into the dumpster behind a 7-Eleven 3 blocks away. I thought that was the end of it until I got to work. There was a package on my desk, no label, just a plain brown box the size of a shoebox. Everyone else in the office was busy, so I opened it without thinking. Inside was my Starbucks cup from last week, the same one from the photo, lid still on. When I took it off, the smell hit me. It wasn't coffee anymore. It was something rancid, like old meat left out in the sun. Floating in the brown liquid was a Polaroid. Me, sleeping in my bed. That night, I didn't go home. I went to a late-night diner on the other side of town, the kind that smells like fryer grease and burnt coffee. I sat at a corner booth with my back against the wall, facing the door. I was halfway through some cold fries when I noticed a guy at the counter looking at me in the mirror behind the bar. He wasn't eating. He wasn't on his phone. He was just staring, his eyes locked on mine in the reflection. When the waitress brought my check, I asked if she knew him. She glanced over, frowned, and said, "Honey, there's nobody sitting there." I turned around. The store was empty. I Ubered to a 24-hour Walmart and stayed inside until sunrise, pretending to shop. The fluorescent lights made me feel safe, but my stomach was twisted into knots. Every time I passed an aisle mirror, I half expected to see someone standing right behind me. When I finally got home, there was a new message in my email. No subject line, no text, just a file attachment named Payment Update.mp4. Against every instinct, I opened it. The video started with a black screen. Then the audio kicked in. The sound of someone walking on gravel, breathing heavy. The camera shifted, and I saw my own apartment building. The shot zoomed in on my window. Then, my bedroom light flicked on, except I wasn't there. I don't even own that lamp anymore. The camera panned slowly, like they wanted me to see every inch. On the wall above my bed, written in something dark and dripping, were the words, "The price is now $25,000. The video ended abruptly. I don't know how they got inside. I don't know how they filmed that without me being there. I barely even sleep anymore. I just sit on my couch with the TV on mute, trying to hear if someone's at my door. But last night, I made a mistake. I fell asleep around 4 a.m. When I woke up, my front door was cracked open. My baseball bat was gone, and there was a new Polaroid on the floor. It was me, sitting in that diner 2 nights ago. Only this time, the photo was taken from my booth, from the other side of the table. There's a glass of water in front of me in the picture. I didn't order water. Edit. The bounty is now $30,000. And I just heard footsteps in the alley again. I didn't go home after the footsteps in the alley. Instead, I booked a room at a chain hotel off the interstate. One of those budget places with a sticky lobby floor and a soda machine that smells like bleach. I paid in cash. No reward points. No ID. The front desk clerk barely looked at me when she handed over the key card. Room 212. Second floor. When I got inside, I pushed the desk in front of the door, jammed the chair under the handle, and shoved the dresser against it. Then I sat on the bed with my hoodie up and tried to breathe. For the first hour, it was quiet. Too quiet. I could hear the hum of the mini fridge and the occasional truck roaring past outside. At 3:07 a.m., someone knocked. Not the 3 polite taps kind of knock. This was slow, deliberate, and heavy, like whoever was on the other side wanted me to feel it in my bones. I didn't answer. The knock came again, louder this time. Then my phone lit up. Unknown number. A text. You're in 212. Why so many locks? My stomach turned to ice. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. The knocking stopped. But then I heard something scrape against the door. A metallic sound, like someone dragging the edge of a key across the surface. I checked the peephole. No one. When I stepped back, my phone buzzed again. A photo, taken from inside my room, from the corner by the bathroom. I was standing in front of the door in the picture. I tore the room apart looking for a camera, checked every vent, every smoke detector, every light fixture. Nothing. At 4:32 a.m., the TV turned on by itself. Static. I couldn't turn it off with the remote, so I yanked the cord from the wall. That's when I heard it. A faint, wet breathing coming from inside the bathroom. I grabbed the ice bucket and hurled it in. The bucket bounced off the tub and clanged to the floor. Nothing inside. Then my phone buzzed again. Another picture. It was me, sitting on the edge of the bed with my phone in my hand, looking at the bathroom door, taken from behind me. I didn't sleep. I left the hotel at sunrise and took the back roads out of town. I didn't have a plan. I just drove until my hands stopped shaking. Around noon, I pulled into a small gas station in a town I didn't recognize, bought a Gatorade, some jerky, and a burner phone. When I got back to my car, There was an envelope tucked under the windshield wiper. Inside, a single Polaroid. Not of me this time. It was of a man lying face down in a parking lot. His head was twisted at an impossible angle. Blood pooled under him in a way that made it clear he wasn't breathing. On the back, in messy black marker, "Next one is you." $35,000 now. I drove straight to the nearest Walmart and sat in the parking lot under the security cameras, trying to convince myself that meant I was safe. But then I saw him, the man from the photo, same clothes, same twisted neck, walking between the parked cars, jerking his head in that same wrong angle, like his neck was broken, but he was still alive. He walked right past my car without looking in. That night, I got another video. No text, no subject line, just a file called countdown.mp4. The camera was on the ground, angled up at a digital timer duct taped to a wall. It was counting down from 48 hours. Then the camera panned over. I recognized the room instantly. It was my apartment. The same scuff baseboards, the same dent in the wall near the kitchen. In the corner, there was something hanging from the ceiling. I had to pause and rewind twice before I realized it was a mannequin dressed in my clothes, a plastic bag over its head, a noose tight around its neck. The timer in the background kept ticking down. At 2:11 a.m., I heard tires on gravel outside the hotel. I peeked through the curtains and saw a black van idling in the lot. No plates, headlights off. The driver's door opened. Someone stepped out wearing a plain white mask, the kind you buy at craft stores, and a gray hoodie. They didn't look around. They just stood there, staring at my window. I backed away and grabbed the baseball bat I'd bought at Walmart. When I looked again, the van was gone, but there was something new taped to the outside of my window. A Polaroid. Me, standing at the window just seconds before. Edit. The bounty's at $50,000 now. I don't think they're going to wait for the timer to hit 0. By the time the timer hit 6 hours, I'd given up on sleep. I'd moved hotels again, this time to a grimy motor lodge off a truck stop. Paid cash, used a fake name. The carpet smelled like mold, the AC unit rattled, and the only security was a flimsy chain lock on the door. I didn't care. I just needed to be somewhere new before the clock ran out. I set both my burner phones on the nightstand, screen side up, just in case. Every creak of the building made me flinch. When the countdown had less than 30 minutes left, I heard a sound that froze my blood. It wasn't outside. It was inside. It was the sound of someone dragging something heavy across carpet. I grabbed the bat, moved to the far corner, and listened. The noise stopped for a second, then came back, closer this time. My pulse was so loud in my ears, I almost didn't hear the whisper. A man's voice, low, right outside my door. "Time's up." I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. Something slid under the door. A photograph. I picked it up with shaking hands. It was me, sleeping in this bed. Tonight. I backed into the corner, my bat up, eyes locked on the door. The chain lock rattled once, then twice, then snapped with a metallic ping that made me jump. The door didn't open all the way, just a crack, enough for a hand to slip in and rest on the frame. The fingers were pale, long, nails bitten down to raw skin. Then the hand slowly withdrew. Silence. I thought they'd left, until my phone lit up. An airdrop request. The file name was finale.move. Against every shred of common sense, I accepted. The video was shaky, grainy. It showed a hallway. This hallway, from just outside my room. The camera slowly approached my door. There was no sound except for breathing. The last second of the clip was the camera stopping right in front of my peephole. And then my phone screen went black. I dialed 911 on the burner. I didn't care if they believed me. I just needed someone to hear me say my location out loud. Before it even rang, the lights in my room flickered and went out. The hallway outside stayed lit. That's when I heard the knock. Not on the door, on the window. I froze. The window was on the second floor. No balcony, no fire escape, just open air and asphalt below. The knock came again. Then the curtain shifted. Not a lot, just enough for me to see the shape of a face pressed against the glass. The mask was different this time. Smooth, featureless, no holes for eyes or mouth, just blank white. I dropped the bat, ran for the bathroom, and locked the door. I climbed into the tub, pulling the shower curtain shut, like that would save me. My breathing was so loud I wanted to scream. Then I heard it, a faint tapping on the bathroom mirror. It wasn't coming from this side. I don't remember moving. 1 second I was in the tub, the next I was sprinting down the hallway barefoot, bat in hand, door wide open behind me. When I hit the stairs, I tripped over something. It was another Polaroid. This one was taken from the top of the staircase, looking down at me. Right now, same clothes, same bat. The timestamp printed at the bottom wasn't from earlier. It was from 5 seconds ago. I bolted out into the truck stop parking lot. The air was humid, sticky. A semi idled nearby, its driver nowhere in sight. I ran to the far edge of the lot, past the dumpsters, into the tree line. That's when I heard the van. No headlights, just the sound of tires crunching gravel. I ducked behind a tree and peeked out. The van stopped right outside my motel room. 2 people got out. One wore the blank mask from the window. The other, I'll never forget him. He was in a suit, too clean for this place. His hair slicked back. He carried something that caught the light. A claw hammer. They didn't knock. They didn't run. They just walked inside my room like they owned it. A few minutes later, the lights flickered on in my room. And then, screaming. Not mine. I don't know how long I stayed there before the 2 came back out. They were dragging something between them, wrapped in a bedsheet. It was too small to be a body, too light. When they reached the van, they tossed it in the back and slammed the doors. Before they got in, the one in the mask turned toward the woods, right at me, and then he waved. I waited until the van was gone before going back to the room. Everything was gone. My bag, my burner phones, my bat. The mattress was leaning against the wall, the sheets stripped. The carpet had deep grooves in it, like something heavy had been dragged. On the nightstand was a single object, the claw hammer. The metal head was clean, but the handle was sticky. A note was taped to it. $75,000, 12 hours left. The hammer was still on the nightstand when I left. I wrapped the handle in a towel and shoved it into my hoodie pocket. I didn't even bother locking the door behind me. The sun was just starting to rise, but the air felt thick, like the world was holding its breath. I didn't have a plan. Every gas station, fast food place, and motel in 100 miles could already be compromised. My name and face were on a list worth $75,000 now. I drove until the fuel gauge was nearly empty, then pulled into an abandoned strip mall to hide the car. The parking lot was cracked and overgrown, the store's gutted shells. I picked the one in the middle with no windows and a door barely hanging on its hinges. Inside, it smelled like dust and wet concrete. I sat against the wall, hammer in my lap, and stared at the countdown on my burner phone. 11:42, 9:11:42, 8:11:42, 7. I thought maybe they'd given up, that I'd made it too inconvenient. Then I heard the first car pull in, the sound of tires on gravel, doors slamming, footsteps crunching broken glass. At least 3 sets. I pressed myself into the shadows and gripped the hammer so hard my knuckles cracked. My pulse was in my ears, drowning out everything else, until a voice cut through. A woman, calm, like she was ordering coffee. "He's in here." The door creaked open. The first one in was a man in a gray jacket, wearing gloves. He didn't rush me, just scanned the room slowly, like he was confirming something. I waited until he stepped past me before I swung. The hammer connected with his temple, a wet, solid sound, and he dropped without a sound. His body twitched once and went still. The others didn't run. One of them stepped over the body, crouched down, and looked at me. He was smiling. That smile didn't reach his eyes. "They'll pay extra if you're still breathing when you get there." I ran. Out the back, through a gap in the fence, into a drainage ditch. The ground was slick and smelled like rot, but I didn't care. I crawled until I reached the road. An 18-wheeler was parked on the shoulder, engine idling. I waved frantically, mouthing, "Help." The driver leaned out. He was older, heavy-set, with a beard and sunglasses. He gestured for me to climb up. I'd barely closed the door before I knew I'd made a mistake. The dashboard was covered in printouts. My face, different angles, my full name, the bounty amount in red ink. He locked the passenger door. I went for the handle, but he grabbed my wrist and twisted until my vision went white. "Relax. I'm just delivering you. Easy money." He drove for maybe 10 minutes, humming to himself, like this was a regular Tuesday. We left the highway, hit a dirt road, and pulled up to a barn with the paint peeling off in long strips. He cut the engine, got out, and walked around to my side. When he opened the door, I swung the hammer up into his jaw. Bone cracked. He stumbled back, screaming, and I bolted. The barn wasn't empty. Inside, it was lit by a single hanging bulb, swaying just enough to make the shadows move. In the center was a folding chair bolted to the floor, ropes coiled neatly on the seat. A camera on a tripod faced it. Against the far wall were 3 more chairs, all occupied. The first 2 were men, slumped forward, duct tape over their mouths, wrists bound. Their faces were swollen, bruised, unrecognizable. The third was a woman with her head tilted back, eyes wide open. Her mouth was gone, not sewn shut, gone. Just smooth skin where it should have been. Her chest rose and fell. She was still breathing. I backed toward the door, but it slammed shut before I reached it. Someone was behind me. The blank mask, the suit, both of them. The masked one tilted his head like he was studying me. Then he stepped aside, revealing a phone in his hand. The screen showed the bounty site. My listing. The number was still climbing. $89,000, $90,000, $91,000. The man in the suit spoke for the first time. His voice was low. deliberate. They'll stop bidding when you stop moving. They didn't rush me, didn't attack. They just circled, slow, making sure I knew there was nowhere to go. When the number hit $100,000, the masked one reached into his hoodie and pulled out a clear plastic bag. I didn't think. I charged, swung the hammer as hard as I could. It connected with his forearm, bone snapping like dry wood. He dropped the bag. I grabbed it and ran. The plastic crinkled in my hands as I sprinted out of the barn, past the truck, into the tree line. I didn't stop until my legs gave out. When I finally looked at the bag, my stomach turned. Inside was a phone, not mine. The wallpaper was a photo of me, taken just minutes ago, running through these same woods. The phone buzzed. Unknown number. A text. You made us work for it. $150,000 now. I don't remember getting back to the road, but somehow I did. My car was gone. The sun was setting. The hammer was still in my hoodie, my hand shaking so bad I could barely hold it. I kept walking until I saw headlights behind me. A black van, no plates. It slowed as it pulled up. The side door slid open, and inside, I saw them. The woman without a mouth, the man with the twisted neck, the one from the diner, all sitting there, perfectly still, watching me. The man in the suit leaned out. Last chance to make this quick. I didn't answer. I just turned and ran into the dark. Edit. It's been 2 days. I'm in another state now, sleeping in bus stations, truck stops, anywhere with cameras and people. The bounty. It's at $250,000. And last night, I woke up with a Polaroid in my jacket pocket. It was me, lying exactly how I'd been sleeping. The timestamp was 3 minutes into the future. The dark web group I joined sends me a murder location every Friday night. I don't usually post on here, but my friends keep telling me this is the kind of thing people on r/NOSLEEP eat up. The only problem is I'm not writing this for entertainment. I'm writing it because I'm genuinely freaked out, and I'm starting to think I've gotten myself into something I can't just block or ignore. It started 2 Tuesdays ago. I was sitting in my bedroom, laptop open, bouncing between YouTube and Reddit. You know that weird slump you get into, where you're not even enjoying anything, just clicking around. That's where I was. On YouTube, I'd been watching one of those deep web horror stories, compilations. Thumbnail was some clickbaity image of a guy in a ski mask. It autoplayed while I scrolled Reddit on my phone. I ended up on this thread in r/unresolved mysteries, where people were sharing supposed real-life encounters from the deep web. Most of them were obviously fake, but then there was this one comment with no backstory, no lead-up, just a sentence and a link. If you're ready to see something you won't unsee, click here. I clicked it without even thinking. Chrome flashed me one of those red warning screens like, this site may be dangerous, but I bypassed it. I expected some crummy Creepypasta site, but instead I got this pitch black page with a single red circle in the middle. It looked like a record button. No text, no ads, just that button. I tapped it. The screen blinked, then a white form appeared. Email, social handle. I wasn't going to give them my real info, obviously. I typed in my burner Gmail and a throwaway Twitter I made years ago to mess with bots. I hit submit, and that was it. No, thanks for signing up. No, you'll hear from us. The page just refreshed to black again. I figured it was nothing, but like 2 minutes later, my phone buzzed. It was a DM on that old Twitter account, from an account with 0 followers, 0 tweets, and a profile picture of an empty McDonald's dining area. The kind with those stiff red chairs, a ketchup dispenser in the corner, and that off-yellow fluorescent light that makes everything look dead. The message just said, "Welcome to Friday night." No context. I thought maybe it was part of an ARG or some marketing stunt, so I ignored it. But then Friday came. It was about 11:40 p.m. I was at the Starbucks in the Target Plaza off Main Street, wrapping up a last-minute cram session with my friend Jake. He's one of those content or die types, constantly filming everything for his TikTok and YouTube. We were packing up when I got a Twitter notification from the McDonald's account. They sent me an address. No explanation, no hi, just coordinates and a street name in a suburb about 40 minutes away. I showed Jake, and of course, his first reaction was, "Bro, we have to go. This could be like once-in-a-lifetime content." I said no at first. I mean, it was almost midnight, and the whole thing was sketchy as hell. But Jake wouldn't shut up, and honestly, I was curious. So we got in his Civic, tossed my backpack in the trunk, and started driving. He was blasting random Spotify playlists, laughing like this was going to be another one of those 24 hours in an abandoned mall videos. At first, it felt normal. Streetlights, gas stations, even a Walmart we passed that was still open. But the deeper we went, the emptier it got. Houses were dark, no cars on the road, no porch lights. Even the gas stations were shuttered. Google Maps told us to turn onto this little residential street. The address was for a single-story house with a faded for sale sign stuck in the front yard. From the outside, it looked completely ordinary. White paint, cracked driveway, weeds poking through the sidewalk. Except the front door was wide open, not like someone forgot to close it open, like it was waiting for us. We sat there in the car for a minute. Jake turned on his camera, whispering like he was doing a ghost hunt. I could see my own breath in the air, which was weird because it wasn't even that cold outside. I told him we shouldn't go in, and for once, he didn't push back right away. That's when we heard it. From inside the house, this faint drip, drip, drip. But it wasn't like a sink dripping. It was thicker, heavier. Jake's camera stayed pointed at the door, but he wasn't talking anymore. We didn't even make it up the driveway. I told him I was done, that I wasn't messing with this, and we just got back in the car. As soon as we pulled away, every hair on my body was standing up. When I got home, I had another message from the McDonald's account. Good. We don't like when people show up too early. No idea how they knew we'd even been there. That was last week. It's Tuesday now, and I've been thinking about it non-stop. I haven't told anyone else, and Jake hasn't posted the footage yet. I think he's freaked out too, though he won't admit it. This Friday, I'm going back, and this time, I'm going inside. I barely slept the whole week. Every night, I'd find myself opening Twitter at 3 a.m., checking that account's profile, just to make sure it hadn't disappeared. It hadn't. Still the same empty McDonald's lobby picture. Still following no one. Jake and I didn't talk about it after that first night. He didn't post the footage, didn't even mention it again. which is strange for him. He's the type who'd milk something like that for clicks. It was almost like he wanted to erase it from his head. By Friday afternoon, I'd already decided I was going back, alone. It rained all day, cold, thin drizzle that never really stopped. By 10:50 p.m., my stomach felt like it was full of battery acid. I sat on my bed, hoodie up, earbuds in, pretending to watch random Instagram reels, while my mind kept jumping to that open door from last week. At 11:41 p.m., my phone buzzed. Twitter notification. No words this time. Just another address. Different location. Same town as before, but on the opposite side, closer to that old strip mall where the GameStop closed years ago. I didn't even hesitate. I grabbed my keys, slid my pocket knife into my jacket, and left without telling anyone. The drive felt longer than it should have. Google Maps kept glitching, freezing for a few seconds, then catching up. Twice it told me to turn down streets that didn't exist. I passed a Walgreens with its lights still on, but no cars in the parking lot, and an entire row of townhouses with every single curtain drawn tight. The address led me to another house. This one wasn't for sale. It looked lived in. Curtains in the windows. A recycling bin tipped over in the driveway, but the lights were off. No movement. And like before, the front door was wide open. I parked half a block away and walked. My sneakers were already soaked from the wet pavement. By the time I reached the front step, my heart was beating so loud, I swear I could hear it in my ears. I pulled out my phone to turn on the flashlight and stepped inside. The smell hit me first. Thick, coppery, and wrong. You ever walk into a butcher shop in the back of a grocery store? Like that, but heavier. The living room was empty except for a couch pushed against the wall and a single folding chair facing the corner. Not toward the TV, toward the corner. On the seat of the chair was a Polaroid camera. There was a note taped to the backrest. In blocky black Sharpie, it said, "Take one before midnight." I just stood there for a minute, staring at it. Midnight was 14 minutes away. I heard something down the hall. Not a creak, more like a dragging sound. Slow, uneven. I should have left. I know that. But I didn't. I took the Polaroid in my hands. It was cold, like it had been sitting in a fridge. The flash was already up. I stepped into the hallway. The dragging sound stopped. There were 3 doors, 2 closed, 1 cracked open. I could see something inside. Not a person, just an armchair, facing away from me. I snapped the Polaroid without thinking, the flash lighting up the whole room for a split second. That's when I saw it. Someone was sitting in the armchair, not moving, their head tilted at an unnatural angle, chin almost touching their collarbone. Their hands were bound behind them with duct tape, and their face, Jesus. Their face looked like someone had taken a cheese grater to it. No skin left on the cheeks, just a raw muscle glistening in the light. I stumbled back, heart pounding so hard I thought I'd pass out. The photo slid out of the camera. I didn't want to look at it, but my hands were shaking so bad I dropped it. It landed face up. In the Polaroid, the figure wasn't alone. There was someone standing behind me in the picture. Tall, black hoodie, face completely obscured, like they were wearing a nylon stocking over their head. I spun around, but the hallway was empty. I bolted for the front door, but when I stepped into the living room, the folding chair was gone. Just gone. The spot where it had been was wet, like something had been dragged across the carpet. Outside, the street was completely silent. No wind, no cars, nothing. My car was exactly where I left it, but there was an envelope under the windshield wiper. I didn't open it until I got home. Inside was the Polaroid I'd dropped, and another picture I didn't take. It was me, asleep in my own bed. After that second Friday, I stopped feeling safe anywhere. It wasn't just at home. I'd catch myself scanning every Starbucks line, every aisle in Target, every set of headlights in my rearview mirror, looking for that same tall figure from the Polaroid. By Wednesday, I'd already thrown out the envelope, the photos, even my bed sheets. Didn't matter. Every time I closed my eyes, I'd see that second picture. Me in bed, mouth half open, completely defenseless, while someone stood just outside the frame. Thursday night, Jake texted me for the first time since the first Friday. Jake: "Yo, did you get another address last week?" Me: "Yeah. Why?" Jake: "I think someone's been in my app." He sent me a voice memo. I listened once, then twice. It was just breathing, slow, steady, too close to the mic. I didn't respond. Friday came. All day I kept checking my phone. By 11:30 p.m., I was just sitting in my car in a Walmart parking lot, waiting. My stomach felt like it was full of ice. 11:41 p.m., Twitter notification. Different address again. This one I recognized instantly. It was near that 24-hour Planet Fitness on the edge of town, across from the Wendy's. But this time, the message had something new. Rule 1, no witnesses. If you bring someone, they stay. I didn't even think about calling Jake. The building wasn't a house this time. It was a small, one-story commercial unit with the windows blacked out. No sign out front, just a faded parking lot and a dumpster tipped on its side. I parked right in front, engine running. My headlights barely cut through the dark. The front door was unlocked. Inside smelled like bleach, fresh bleach. The air burned my nose. The walls were painted this pale blue that made everything look cold. There was no furniture, just a single table in the middle of the room. On the table was a plastic grocery bag with something inside. Next to it, a burner phone. The phone lit up as soon as I touched it. A text message from an unknown number popped up. Put it on. I opened the bag. Inside was a cheap, paper-thin poncho, the kind you'd buy at a gas station if you got caught in the rain. Except this one was covered in dried, crusted brown stains. My hand shook as I put it on. It felt stiff against my skin. The phone buzzed again. In the back, there was a hallway at the rear of the room. My sneakers squeaked against the freshly mopped floor as I walked. The first door on the left was open. Inside was another table, but this one had something laid out on it. It was a man, late 40s maybe, bound at the wrists and ankles with zip ties. He wasn't moving, but his eyes were open, following me. His mouth was stuffed with a dirty dish towel. I froze. The phone buzzed again. Rule 2, no talking to them. Take the picture. On the floor beside me was another Polaroid camera. My breath felt too loud in the silence. I raised the camera, aimed it at his face, and took the shot. The flash made him flinch. As the photo printed, the phone buzzed a third time. Rule 3, don't stay for the cleanup. I didn't need more instruction. I dropped the camera and left. I was almost at the door when I heard it, shoes squeaking on the floor behind me. I didn't look back. When I got to my car, There was another envelope under the windshield. This one was heavier than before. Inside wasn't a photo. It was a key. A car key. On the tag was written, Rule 4, next time you drive. I sat there in the parking lot for almost an hour, staring at that key, wondering how deep this went and whether I'd already gone too far to get out. I didn't notice until I got home that the burner phone was still in my jacket pocket. The screen was on. A new message was waiting. Your friend broke the rules. Attached was a picture. It was Jake, tied to that same table, eyes wide, and standing next to him was me. I didn't touch the burner phone all week. I left it in my desk drawer, face down, battery still on. But I couldn't stop thinking about that last picture, the one where I was standing next to Jake, even though I knew I wasn't there. I didn't tell anyone, not the cops, not my family. I didn't even text Jake again. Every time I opened my messages, I'd see that lost yo from him, sitting there, unread, like some ghost of the conversation we didn't have. By Friday, I wasn't waiting for the address. I was dreading it. Every clock I saw felt like it was counting down. 7:03 p.m. at the grocery store, 9:11 p.m. at the gas station. By 11:30 p.m., I was already parked downtown, engine idling, scanning every shadow like I'd spot them before they spotted me. At 11:41 p.m., the phone lit up. No address this time. Just, you know where the key fits. The key from last week was still in my glove compartment. The tag had been worn almost smooth from me running my thumb over it every day. I didn't know where it went until I realized. 2 months earlier, Jake had filmed a video inside an old, abandoned delivery van behind the closed Toys R Us on Jefferson Street. We joked about how creepy it would be if someone was living in it. That van had been sitting there for years, untouched. The key slid into the lock like it belonged there. The smell inside was worse than anything I'd ever experienced. Rot layered over bleach, like someone had tried to erase what had happened, but failed. The seats were gone. The whole back was gutted, lined with black plastic sheeting taped to the walls. On the floor were 3 large storage tubs. 2 had lids. 1 didn't. Inside that one was a woman's purse. I knew it was a woman's because there was still a Sephora receipt sticking out of the side pocket, dated yesterday. The phone buzzed in my pocket. Take her to them. I froze. My whole body went cold. I didn't know if her meant the woman who owned the purse, or her body. The second tub's lid wasn't on tight. I don't know why I looked. I shouldn't have looked. Inside was a head, eyes still open, hair matted to the skull from where it had been hacked away in uneven clumps. My stomach lurched. Before I could move, the van's back door slammed shut. The phone buzzed again. Rule 5. They don't get out until the photo is taken. The darkness pressed in. The only sound, my own panicked breathing bouncing off the plastic-covered walls. Then I heard it. Movement. Slow. Deliberate. Something shifting inside the third tub. I grabbed the Polaroid on the floor. My hands were shaking so bad I nearly dropped it. When I aimed it at the tub, the lid slid open just enough for a hand to reach out. The skin was grayish, the nails splintered and caked with dirt. It grabbed the edge of the tub, and the rest of the body pulled itself up, thin, almost skeletal, wearing a torn Dunkin' Donuts t-shirt that looked like it hadn't been washed in months. It was Jake. Or what was left of him. His wrist was zip-tied so tight, I could see the skin splitting. His mouth was taped shut, but his eyes locked on mine, wild and pleading. I took the picture. The flash went off, and for a split second, the whole van lit up, and I saw the figure crouched in the corner. Tall, black hoodie, head tilted slightly, like they were studying me. When my vision cleared, the figure was gone. Jake was gone. The tubs were gone. I was sitting alone in the back of the van, holding a Polaroid of myself, crouched over an open tub, grinning. The phone buzzed one last time. Next week, public. When they said public, I thought they meant somewhere abandoned but accessible, like an old mall or parking garage. Not this. It was Friday night. Rain was coming down hard enough to blur the streetlights, streaks of red and white sliding down my windshield. I hadn't eaten all day. Couldn't. But I still ended up in the drive-thru at a McDonald's, sitting there like it was just another Friday night, engine idling, fries getting cold in the bag on the passenger seat. At exactly 11:41 p.m., the burner phone lit up. No address this time. Just Rule 6, blend in. Then another text, an Apple Maps pin. When I opened it, my stomach dropped. It was this McDonald's. I looked around the parking lot, but everything seemed normal. People eating in their cars, a couple of kids laughing under the awning, someone taking selfies at the side of the building. The phone buzzed again. Inside. Now. I went in. The smell of fry oil hit me instantly, warm and greasy. Pop music played softly from the ceiling speakers. The place was maybe half full. Families, teens, two guys in construction gear at a corner booth. On the far side of the room, one table stood out. A woman in her 30s sat there alone, sipping from a large Coke, scrolling TikTok on her phone. Next to her, a plastic Happy Meal box sat unopened. As I walked past, the burner phone buzzed. Booth 6. That was her booth. I slid into the seat across from her. She barely looked up. "You here for the interview?" she asked casually, like we'd planned this. Before I could answer, the phone buzzed again. Rule 7. Don't speak. Take the picture. My hand closed around the Polaroid in my jacket pocket. I hadn't noticed it was there until now. I raised it. The flash went off. In that fraction of a second, the entire McDonald's froze in place. Not like they were shocked, like they were waiting. Everyone turned their heads toward me at the exact same time. The woman across from me's smile widened. She reached into the Happy Meal box and pulled out something small, wrapped in napkins. She slid it across the table. It was a finger, perfectly clean, no blood. "Your turn," she said, voice calm, like she was telling me my order was ready. The phone buzzed one last time. Rule 8. Everyone leaves with something. Then she stood up and walked toward the bathrooms. Every other person in that McDonald's turned back to whatever they were doing, eating, scrolling, chatting, like nothing had happened. I didn't move. Couldn't. The phone buzzed again, and this time an image popped up. It was a live feed from the McDonald's security camera. I was still sitting there in the booth, but someone else was in my seat. Same hoodie, same hands, same face. They were holding the Polaroid camera, pointing it at me. The flash went off. When my eyes cleared, the booth was empty. The woman was gone. Everyone else was gone. The fryers were off. The lights were dimmed. The only thing left on the table was the Happy Meal box, closed now, with my name written on the side in black marker. I didn't open it until I got home. Inside was the picture they'd taken. It was me, sitting in my bedroom, writing this story, and behind me, just barely visible in the shadow of my closet door, was the tall figure in the black hoodie. This is where the story ends for me, because if I get another Friday night message, I don't think I'll still be here to tell it. A stranger on the dark web offered me $5,000 to dig in my backyard. So, I guess the first thing I should say is that I'm not some hacker or tech guy. I don't even know how to code. The only dark part of my internet history before last month was binge watching Breaking Bad at 3 a.m. on Netflix while stress eating McDonald's fries. The way I ended up on the dark web was honestly stupid. My buddy Mason sent me a TikTok of some guy showing all these creepy sites you can only get to with Tor. You know the type. Grainy screenshots, distorted voiceover, dramatic captions like, "Do not visit these websites." I was bored after work, still in my Chick-fil-A polo, eating cold nuggets, so I downloaded Tor just to see if it was all fake. Most of it was garbage, sketchy forums, hitman for hire ads that were probably run by cops, and chat rooms where people pretended to be cult leaders. Then I clicked on this one board that looked like an old school Craigslist. Every post was an offer for something off, like need a drop location for a package or trade rare teeth. Yes, human teeth. I wish I was joking. One post stuck out because it looked normal. $5,000. Need something dug up. Discreet. No questions. We'll pay up front. I clicked, thinking maybe it was some prank. The description was short. Specific location given after contact. Must be done at night. Alone. For whatever reason, probably boredom mixed with curiosity, I messaged them, "Where's this hole you want dug?" Not even 5 minutes later, they replied, "You're already there." I just stared at my phone. The username was Old Root. Creepy, but whatever. I typed back, "What do you mean, I'm already there?" Almost instantly, "The coordinates match your backyard." My stomach dropped. I don't post my address anywhere. I have my Instagram on private, my Facebook locked down. The only thing vaguely public is my LinkedIn, and that just has my city. And this wasn't some vague guess. They knew. I started to close Tor when another message popped up. "There's something buried 6 feet down. Dig it up tonight. I'll send you the payment first." Before I could even respond, my Coinbase app buzzed. $5,000 in Bitcoin, already transferred. I sat there staring at it. This was real money. Rent money. Finally replaced my crappy 2009 Toyota money. And yeah, my brain went to the obvious dark place. Maybe it's drugs. Maybe it's worse. But also, I could just dig it up, look, and if it's bad, fill the hole back in. Right? Around midnight, I grabbed a shovel from the shed, turned off my porch light, and stepped outside. The air was thick, humid, the kind where the back of your shirt sticks to you instantly. My yard isn't big. Patchy grass, a chain link fence, one half a dead maple tree that leans toward my neighbor's place. I kept my phone in my pocket. Spotify paused mid-song because every sound felt too loud. The shovel cutting into the dirt sounded like someone snapping celery. 20 minutes in, my hands were blistering and my shirt was damp. Somewhere in the distance, a train horn blew, faint but sharp in the otherwise dead silence. I tried to focus on the rhythm of digging, Then the shovel hit something soft. It wasn't roots. It wasn't a rock. It gave way under the metal like I'd stabbed a bag of wet clothes. I knelt down and brushed away dirt until I saw it. A black trash bag, tightly knotted. Right then, my phone buzzed. My stomach flipped. It was another message from Old Root. Stop digging. Someone's watching you. My first thought was that it was a scare tactic. Then I looked up. Under the yellow spill of my neighbor's motion light, just beyond the fence, was a figure. Tall, still, facing me. I couldn't see their face, just the outline of their hoodie and the faint gleam of something metallic in their hand. The light clicked off, and they were gone. The motion light went out, and the figure just wasn't there anymore. No footsteps, no rustling, nothing. I stood there, shovel still in my hand, the black trash bag half buried between us. The only sound was my own breathing, sharp and loud in my ears. Then my phone buzzed again. Go inside. Don't look out the windows. I didn't want to admit it, but I obeyed. I left the shovel where it was, went back inside, locked the sliding glass door, and pulled the blinds. I was pacing my living room, trying to decide if I should call 911 when my phone lit up again. A photo. It was my house, taken from the backyard, from right where I'd just been digging. The photo was crystal clear, like better than my iPhone clear. You could see my back door, the faint glow from the kitchen light, and there was something else, something that made my skin feel like it was crawling inside out. In the reflection of the glass door, you could see me, staring at my phone, which meant they'd taken that picture seconds ago. I bolted upstairs, grabbed the cheap aluminum baseball bat I keep under my bed, and sat there in the dark, staring at my bedroom door. My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Old Root. It was an unknown number, local area code. The text said, "You should have kept digging." No name, no profile picture. I tried to call Mason, but it went straight to voicemail. Checked Instagram. He'd posted to his story like an hour earlier, some selfie at Buffalo Wild Wings with friends. Totally fine. That's when I noticed another DM on tour from Old Root. They're not there for you. They're there for what's in the bag. Finish the job and put it in your shed. I typed back, "What's in it?" The reply came almost instantly. Proof. By 2:30 a.m., I couldn't sit still. I went back outside, the night air colder now, like the temperature had dropped 10 degrees in the last hour. My yard smelled different, damp, metallic, like wet pennies. I forced myself to finish digging, dirt sticking under my nails, every scrape of the shovel sounding like it was echoing for miles. When I finally yanked the bag out of the hole, it was heavier than I expected, way heavier. The plastic was stretched tight around the shape of something uneven. I carried it to the shed, dumped it on the wooden floor, and just stared. My phone buzzed again. Open it. Take one picture. Send it to me. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely get the knot undone. The smell hit me first. Not rot, exactly. More like the chemical stink of a freshly cleaned hospital room, mixed with something sour underneath. Inside the bag. God. Okay. It was a head. Not decayed, not old, fresh. A woman's head. Her eyes were open. Her hair was tied back in a messy bun, like she'd been caught midday. There was a strip of duct tape still across her mouth, pressed so tight the skin around it was pale. And here's the part that's burned into me. Her skin was warm. I dropped it, stumbled back against the shed wall, gagging so hard my vision blurred. My phone buzzed. Don't worry. She can't see you. I didn't send a picture. I didn't even touch my phone. I just grabbed the lock for the shed door, snapped it shut, and went back inside without looking over my shoulder. I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch, TV on mute, watching the dark shape of my shed through the blinds. At one point, maybe 4:15, I don't know, I saw movement. Someone walking from the shed toward the fence. They weren't carrying the bag. When the sun came up, I finally went out. The shed was empty. The lock was still snapped shut, untouched. But on the floor where the bag had been, there was a single Polaroid. It was me, in my bed, asleep. The thing is, I never went upstairs that night. I stared at the Polaroid until my hands started to sweat. The image was grainy, but clear enough. My bedroom, my unmade sheets, me in them. Except, in the corner of the picture, barely visible in the shadow near my closet door, was a figure. Not shadowy figure, like a campfire story. This was someone, a person. Their face was just wrong, blurred, like the camera lens had smeared across that spot, but everything else was in focus. The longer I looked, the more my skin crawled, because I realized the blur wasn't random. It was moving. Like in the still photo, the face was shifting. I dropped the Polaroid and just backed out of the shed, locking it behind me, even though there was nothing in there now. By 8 a.m., I decided I was done. I was going to call the cops, tell them I'd found what I'd found, leave the Bitcoin out of it, and just hope they didn't look too hard at why I'd been digging in the middle of the night. But when I picked up my phone, there were 13 new messages from Old Root, all short, all variations of the same thing. Do not talk to them. You will die in their custody. They've already been paid. Paid? Paid by who? Then a photo came through. It was the front of my house, taken from across the street. In the shot, there was a white unmarked van parked 2 houses down. I looked out my blinds. The van was there, engine running. I didn't call anyone. I just grabbed my keys and wallet, slipped out the back fence, and started walking through the alley behind my house. I kept glancing over my shoulder, but nothing followed. I ended up at a Starbucks about a mile away, crowded enough to make me feel less like prey. I ordered a black coffee just to have something in my hands and sat at a corner table, pretending to scroll through Twitter while I tried to figure out what the hell to do. At 9:42 a.m., I got an airdrop request on my phone from unknown. I didn't even have airdrop on, but there it was, asking to send me a file. Against every shred of better judgment, I accepted. It was a live video feed, my living room. The camera was shaky, moving slowly across the room, like whoever was holding it was walking barefoot on my carpet. They stopped at the couch where I'd been sitting last night and just lingered there, breathing. Then the camera tilted down toward the floor. In the video, right in the center of my living room rug, was the black trash bag. I left my coffee where it was and walked out, fast but not running, because every nerve in my body told me someone in that Starbucks was watching me. The rest of the day was a blur. I wandered from place to place, Target, a Dollar Tree, some random strip mall, just trying to be anywhere except my house. But everywhere I went, I noticed the same thing. People watching me too long. Not everyone, just one person in every location. At Target, it was a guy pretending to read shampoo labels in the aisle I was in. At the Dollar Tree, it was a woman at the end of an aisle who never blinked. At the strip mall, a kid on a skateboard who didn't move when I walked past, just turned to watch me until I was out of sight. Different faces, same stillness, same too long stare. By the time it got dark, I felt like I'd been awake for a week. I didn't go home. I checked into a crappy roadside motel with flickering neon and cigarette burns in the sheets. Paid in cash. No name. I locked the door, shoved the chair under the handle, and sat against the wall with my phone in my hand. For a while, nothing happened. Then, around midnight, there was a knock. 3 slow, heavy knocks. I didn't move, didn't breathe. The knock came again. Same rhythm, same weight. My phone lit up with a notification from Instagram. A new story mention. It was from an account I didn't follow. No profile pic, no posts. The story was a video, taken from directly outside my motel room door. The camera panned down to the floor, where a Polaroid had been slid under the gap. I didn't want to pick it up. I knew I shouldn't. But I did. It was me, sitting on the floor of my motel room, taken from inside. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak of the building sounded like someone stepping closer. Every passing car light that bled through the curtain made me think a shadow had moved. When morning finally came, I looked at my phone again. One new message from old Root. If you want it to stop, put the bag back where you found it. Tonight. I don't know what's worse, realizing I can't go home, or realizing that someone has been in every place I've tried to hide. I didn't go home right away. I spent the day in public spaces, mall food courts, a crowded Apple store, even sat inside a Barnes & Noble pretending to browse. I thought maybe if I was surrounded by people, the eyes wouldn't find me. They still did. It wasn't obvious at first. Just little things. A reflection in the glass of the Apple store, showing someone standing a few feet behind me who wasn't there when I turned. A man in the food court sitting alone at a Chick-fil-A table with no food, just staring over the rim of his sunglasses. By 4 p.m., I was running on adrenaline and cheap coffee. My phone buzzed. It was old Root again. They don't care about you. They care about the bag. I typed back, why me? Why my yard? He didn't answer the question, just sent coordinates. My house, tonight, midnight, put it back, or they'll take something else. The something else stuck in my head the whole way back. I got home just before dark. It felt like walking into a crime scene where the body was gone, but the air still remembered. The blinds were drawn exactly the way I'd left them. The deadbolt still turned, but the smell was different. Faintly sweet, like wilted flowers left in a vase too long. I didn't turn any lights on, just went straight to the shed. The floor was empty except for a folded note taped to the wood. My name was on the outside, printed in block letters. Inside was a Polaroid. Mason, tied to a chair. He was alive, eyes open, looking straight at the camera, but his face was wrong. Not bruised, not bloody, just wrong. The skin under his eyes was tight and pale, lips pressed so hard they turned white. Under the photo, a line of handwriting in blue ink. He's next. I didn't think. I just left. Drove to his apartment, banging on his door until his neighbor came out and told me he hadn't been home since yesterday. That was the last time anyone saw him. When I got back to my car, there was something on the hood. Another Polaroid. Same photo of Mason. But now there was a shadow in the frame behind him, a silhouette with long, narrow hands resting lightly on his shoulders. I had no choice. Midnight. I'd put the bag back. Except I didn't have the bag. Whoever took it from the shed was the only one who knew where it was now. I texted Old Route. "It's gone." The reply came back instantly. "No, they just moved it. Check your kitchen." I don't know how I opened the front door without collapsing. My kitchen light was on. The smell hit first, stronger now, chemical and metallic, all at once. The bag was on the counter, and there was something new inside. Not a head this time. A phone. It wasn't mine, but the lock screen was a photo of me, taken from somewhere inside my bedroom, from the angle of my closet door. I swiped up. No passcode, just a single app on the home screen, a live stream window. The feed was from a dim room, a single chair under a bare bulb. Mason was sitting in it, his head lolled forward, his chest rising and falling too slowly. A voice came from the phone speaker, low, almost friendly. "We only needed you to find it. Now you have to put it back where it belongs." I said nothing. The voice continued, "If you take too long, we'll have to make more room in the bag." I took the bag, got in my car, and drove back to the exact spot in the yard where I dug before. It was just past midnight. The neighborhood was dead quiet, but I could feel them watching from somewhere. Not one person, several. Every scoop of dirt felt heavier than the last. I didn't open the bag this time. I didn't want to see if the head was still in there. I just dropped it in the hole, covered it, and smoothed the ground until it looked untouched. The second I patted the last bit of dirt, my phone buzzed. "Go to your bedroom." The room was exactly as I'd left it, except the closet door was open. On the floor inside, there was a Polaroid. It was me, digging, taken from the exact spot where I'd just buried the bag. Behind me, in the photo, in the shadows just beyond the fence, was Mason, standing, watching, and smiling. I didn't sleep. Not that night, not the next. The photo of Mason smiling from the fence kept replaying in my mind. His lips pulled back just a little too far, like the expression didn't belong to him. I kept thinking about the smile, about how in the photo his eyes weren't on me at all. They were aimed just past me, like something else had been there. 2 days after burying the bag again, my phone started vibrating. Not a buzz, not a ring, just constant vibration, the kind that makes the whole device hum in your hand. When I looked at the screen, there was no call, no notification, just my front-facing camera open, and it was recording on its own. I couldn't bring myself to watch the saved file right away. Instead, I went to my kitchen, poured a glass of water, and tried to think. That's when I saw it, on the counter. A Polaroid. Me, sitting at the kitchen table, drinking water. Only, my reflection in the glass didn't match my face. That night, I moved the dresser in front of my bedroom door and slept on the floor with the lights on. At 3:17 a.m., I woke up to the sound of paper sliding across carpet. I stayed perfectly still, eyes barely open, and saw a Polaroid lying just inside the dresser's shadow. I pulled it toward me with my foot. The photo showed me lying on the floor exactly as I was right now, except the dresser was gone, and my body in the picture had its mouth open. Something pale and thin was halfway inside. I left the house before dawn and drove without a destination, ending up in the parking lot of a Walmart 3 towns over. I sat there for hours, scrolling my phone, pretending I wasn't waiting for old Root to tell me what to do next. At 11:54 a.m., a new message came. It's time to see where it came from. Coordinates. Not my yard this time. A patch of woods just outside town, near the abandoned railroad tracks kids use for Instagram aesthetic shots. I should have ignored it. I should have blocked him. But some part of me wanted it over, even if over meant finding something I'd never recover from. The woods were silent in a way that felt wrong. No birds, no wind, just the crunch of leaves under my shoes. I followed the coordinates until I found a circle of freshly turned earth. In the center, a wooden box. It wasn't locked. Inside was another bag, black plastic, knotted at the top, smaller this time. I opened it. A Polaroid camera. The second I touched it, my phone buzzed. "Now it's yours." Before I could react, I heard it. The sharp click of a photo being taken, not from my hands, from somewhere behind me. I turned. Mason was there, standing at the tree line, still smiling. He raised a Polaroid photo and held it out toward me. When I took it, my chest went cold. The picture was of my backyard. Tonight, midnight, and in the center of the yard, I was digging. I didn't remember walking back to my car, didn't remember driving home. But when I pulled into my driveway, the porch light was on and the shed door was open. Inside, on the floor, was the same wooden box from the woods. Only now it was full of Polaroids, hundreds of them, every moment from the last week. Me in bed, me in the shower, me standing in line at Starbucks, even me in the Walmart parking lot, and then, one I hadn't lived yet, me, in my kitchen, the bag open on the counter, something inside it standing up, something that had my face. I dropped the photo and ran to the bathroom to be sick. When I came back, the box was gone. In its place was one final Polaroid. The image was black, except for a single line of white text scrolled across the bottom in marker. "You've been watching the whole time." The longer I stared at it, the more I realized it wasn't black. It was a close-up of an eye. Mine.